Hey guys, so we're going to take a look at matching two images in color and luminosity. So basically grading things to match. So I have this image here and I want to replace, let's say I want to replace this part of this foreground area. Maybe the sandy areas are not what we want. And I have this image which I like the details of. So I'm going to take this image and paste it into our other document. Now if we come to Image, Adjustments, and we go Match Color, the first thing we want to do here is select our source document, which in this case for me is the top one, and our layer is the BG layer. So this is the layer that you want to match your selected layer to one of these layers. So if I selected layer 1, it's going to do nothing, it's matching itself to itself. So if I select BG, we can immediately see that this is not the sort of effect that we want. Now the reason for this is the algorithm takes the brightest values in the target layer and the darkest values, as well as the color intensity and saturation, and it applies it to our selected layer. So in order to use this, what we need to do is a little bit of image prep. So I'm going to select the area that I want to use from our image, and I'm going to copy that to a new layer. So I have just this section here. So this is the sort of area that I'm going to be working with. Now the same thing with the background. The area that I want to match the color to is not the sky. So I need to select portion of the ground, and I'm going to create a duplicate layer of that. Now in order to keep things nice and clean, I'm going to call this match ground. Alright, so you could have a match ground. I'll often have here, like I might copy this and call this match. Always preface it with match. You could put an underscore and you could go mountain shadow. So that's the mountain shadow values that you would only use if you were putting something only into the mountain shadows. You might also want to go and select the shadow and highlights and copy that, and I'll show you what these look like. So now we've got these three layers, and what I'll generally do is I'll just turn them off, group them, and put them in a folder by themselves. So this is sort of our color reference folder. So now I'll turn my foreground layout back on, and we'll go to Image, Adjustments, Match Color. And now the first thing again we want to do is we have to set our source again, and now we've got these layers nicely named, so we can go Match Ground, and we immediately see this is way better than what we had before. Now let's say if I create a mask, and I'll just paint in some dots in through here to show us how well it's matching our layer to the background. We go Match Color. Now it'd be nice if this would keep its previous selection, but it doesn't. So here you can see already just immediately it has that tonality, that quality of the image underneath, but it is a little bit crunched, it's a little bit green, and that's because the image that we're using doesn't have any green like these values do in the base image. So if we really wanted to do it really well, we just take the values that are similar, have the similar values to what we're matching. But this is good enough, and we can use these values through here to tweak our image. So the fade will affect how much of this effect is being applied to our image, so we can fade it out a little bit. I'll leave it at full intensity for now so we can see what the color intensity does, which isn't too obvious, but it's sort of like the saturation that it's trying to pull out of the original image. So I'm going to leave that at max because the original image doesn't have much. And then the luminosity is exactly what you would expect. So I'm going to crank that down just a little bit. I'm going to fade it out, and we can see that our gravel dirt is starting to match our background. It's gotten a little bit dark again. So that'll do for this. And now you can see as I paint this in, I basically got an image that aside from the perspective not entirely matching, we have an image that is really matching well. Now, if you've seen the other tutorials that we've posted, you can come in here and go, say if we go to green, underlying layer, and we'll drag this up, so, and then we'll feather this out this way, so we're just affecting those areas of the image underneath, showing those areas of the image underneath that we want to. Alright, so maybe that's not quite as good as we were hoping, so I can go to grey, and if I just drag that right up and then bring it back down to see at what point do I want to have my image. So now I've got an image on top, which it's a bit grainy, it's not perfect, but it's filling in these areas of gravel with the content that we wanted, and I can continue to finesse this mask. So if we took, let's say we take this original layer here, and we'll grab another patch, and this is just for the sake of showing you the effect, and we want to match it to this background. So we go adjustments, match color, we're going to match it to the mountain shadow. Let's go mountain shadow. Boom. So this is immediately in the same color range and tonality as our mountain. So we could go in and we can just paint it in that area through there. Now obviously the scale is totally wrong, but you know, at a glance it's not immediately obvious that that doesn't fit there. And if let's go back to our original image, and if we take this and go match color, select our source, go mountain. So this is the layer that has both the shadow areas and the light areas. We select that, we're now getting a different effect. Now with this image, because the original image is lit entirely in sunlight, there isn't any sharp pings of highlights of like in this image. There's no real contrast in the image. It's sort of giving us this weird nighttime glow effect because it's not able to pull out the contrast. We've got a bit of it in here, but it's not really pinging like this image. And even as we crank that up, it's just not able to pull the contrast. But that is how I would do probably the first 50% of my grading would be done with this match color, just really quickly matching things up, and you can see that, you know, this doesn't immediately stand out as out of place, especially if we just mask it back in, and if we're totally replacing this foreground, you know, this would pass for a blocking round. And that's it.